Welcome to Tia's Table, where we talk about making fitness and wellness doable for busy women like you and me. Looking for healthy meal ideas, workout motivation, and good conversation? Don't worry, I got you, girl. Sit back, grab a snack, and let's have some girl talk. Hey girl, hey, welcome back to another episode of Tia's Table. I'm Tia, a certified group fitness instructor and nutrition coach. I help women develop healthy habits that align with their health, wellness, and fitness goals. If you or someone you know is interested in living a healthier lifestyle, feel free to reach out to me. You can do that by emailing me at tiavfitness@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on Instagram at tiavfitness. We are doing a lovely job of moving through 75 hard right now in the app. We're focusing completely on nutrition for the first 30 days. So far, we have conquered protein intake. Right now, we are working on our carb intake. And in about a week or so, we're going to move into the fitness and the workout aspect of 75 hard and incorporating those new habits with the habits we have already built, working on our nutrition. I'm so pleased with some of the food logs that I've been seeing, because I know that when anyone is able to master how to manipulate food in a way that aligns with their goals, that is like the key to success. So bravo to everybody doing the challenge right now. I see your food logs and y'all are doing a great job. What is on my table right now? I feel like it really hasn't been that much. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I haven't had anything that's like blown my mind, or I haven't eaten anything new. What I will share though for today's food segment is that I am in a cookbook club, and we met last weekend. Everybody had to make a recipe from the cookbook Jubilee. I decided to make the spicy stewed okra and tomatoes. Well, number one, I made that because my grandma used to cook it growing up. Like I always say up here, like I'm a girl from the South and I have never met a okra or tomato that I didn't vibe with. I've eaten both of those things, I think, as many ways as a person can. And I'm always happy to do so. Like I think that they're just so good. They're like a winning combo, right? So that's what I made. One of the women made a jambalaya. Someone else made a sweet potato souffle. We had a bourbon pecan pie. We had a beautiful salad. We had, I think they were like saltfish. They were saltfish pastries. Like it was like a puff pastry stuffed with saltfish. It was really good. And I'm trying to think of what else we had, because I do feel like I'm missing something, but maybe I'm not. We had a little bit of rosé. Like it was just a beautiful dinner, very fun time. And cooking that okra and stewed tomatoes really did make me feel like closer to my grandma. It turned out really well. Now, it did turn out a little spicy. Maybe spicier than what I thought that it would have turned out. But because I'm not somebody that shies away from a little heat, from a little flavor, from a little spice, it was fine with me. So if you have that cookbook and you too enjoy okra and tomatoes, make that recipe and let me know what you think. I will definitely be making it again. And of course, when I make it again, I'm going to have to add a little bit of something to it. Because while it was fine the way that it was, I just kept saying to myself, now, if there was some meat in this, this would be really good. Or if there was like some type of really strong protein source, this would be amazing, because I could eat this every day. That's how good it was. The flavor was really that good. I'm like, I could eat this every day until it was gone. Now, the recipe in that book does not make a whole lot. I think it only makes like 4 servings. And I'm pretty sure that's like 4 healthy servings, because the 5 of us were able to eat some. And then I still had a little bit left over for the next day. Like I had literally 1 serving left over that I ate the next day. So it doesn't make that much as the recipe calls for in the book, but it makes enough that you could eat like a little bit as like a meal all week long. You just have to pair it with something that, is some type of protein source. So enjoyed myself at Cookbook Club, enjoyed making that recipe, It was delicious, and I think I'm really about to get back into my cooking Southern foods bag. I'll just have to start watching what I'm eating with these things. Because like the stewed okra and tomatoes, you're supposed to eat that over white rice. And white rice is not bad. It's just no nutritional value in it. Like, yeah, it gives you calories, and yes, it can give you carbs. But when you read the nutritional label, like there's very little protein, really no fiber. Like it doesn't come with anything other than the fact that it is an energy source. So I'll have to find something else that I really, really love to eat with these things. And of course, the first thing I want to lean into is like, oh, I'll eat it with quinoa. But some stuff just doesn't hit. And I don't ever want people to think that I'm like that crazy, right? That I think that like, oh, you can just, it's an easy swap and everything tastes good together. No, really, I don't know that I would want my stewed okra and tomatoes on a bed of quinoa. I don't think that would be what I would want to do. So I'm going to keep playing with some of these recipes and see, what I can do with them. But I do know that one in particular was really, really good. And it made me remember all the things I like about Southern cuisine. Especially if you can get really fresh produce. Like I went to the market. We have like it's not a grocery store, but we have like a fresh food market right off the square here where I live. And I called before I went just to make sure they were going to have okra. Not only did they have okra, but it was so fresh. She hadn't even put it out yet. Like it had just got delivered. Talk about perfect timing. So it was really firm. Like it just cooked so well. And it was just delicious. Like I will be making that a lot sooner than I probably even know. I think I will probably be making that either this coming weekend or maybe one day next week. It was that good that I'm literally craving it as we speak to one another. So if you have that cookbook, let me know what your favorite recipes are from it. The sweet potato souffle in there was delicious. It was so good, you could probably eat it as a dessert with some ice cream. The jambalaya was really good. Like, it wasn't a spicy jambalaya or like, it didn't like compete at all with like the spiciness of my okra and tomatoes. Like, those two things actually went perfect with one another. And it was just yummy. It was like a delight. I feel like we all need to go back to a place where we're having these kind of like dinner parties, either with our girlfriends or maybe with other couples, whatever. It was just such a great time. And I feel like the food was the icing on the cake of the good time. But anyway, what I wanted to come back and talk about today was more on menopause. I was able to watch the Oprah Winfrey special that is available on Hulu as well as Disney Plus right now. If you want to see it, it's about 45 minutes. And I wanted to watch that before I came back and talk to you all. So I hope you enjoyed the episode last week featuring Mimi. She completed 100 days of workouts and she talks all about how that has impacted her life, how it has helped her, and how she plans to keep up with it. So if you haven't checked that out, go back and listen to that episode. But this week we're back on our menopause tip. So I watched the Oprah special, and I don't know if I was looking to maybe learn something that I didn't know. I'm certain I did, because I just assumed this is Oprah. She's got a panel of all these women. I'm going to learn something that I don't know. Like, something is going to be uncovered for me in this 45 minutes. And to be for real with you, if you don't have time to watch a special, I highly recommend it though, because Halle Berry's facial expressions throughout the whole thing are phenomenal. Like, love her down already. Like I did before I saw the special. But having watched the special, I'm like, yeah, Halle is not with the BS. Halle is, whatever Halle is thinking, it is written on her face. And I enjoyed that so much. But they start off the conversation with the woman who wrote the book that we have been using for our conversation on menopause, right? And just to give you the cliff notes of what happens in that special, they basically say that like menopause can last for up to 10 years. Doctors really don't like respect the symptoms, or like if you go to your doctor with concerns about all of these symptoms, a lot of times they don't even give you menopause or perimenopause as a diagnosis. You really have to fight for that, bounce around to different doctors until you get one. And the whole time they were talking about that, I want to say, if my memory serves me correctly, Halle Berry was like shaking her head like people should not have to do that. Like, you're a doctor sitting here saying, like, telling people, if you go to a doctor and they don't like give you what you want, or they're not listening, you should just keep bouncing around until you find something. And while, yes, that is true, on the one hand, that's true. On the second hand, we shouldn't have to do that. Like, they just really need to train these doctors, give them the resources that they need to adequately care for patients who are starting to experience all these symptoms. And I think that's what Halle Berry was trying to push while she was up here, while she was up on the special. But as they go through and they talk to these different specialists, they hear from people in the audience. Everybody is giving, their own account of having dealt with a medical professional. And it's pretty much, same script, different cast. That's really the vibe you get watching it. Everybody's pretty much saying the same thing. And we all come back to the same resolution that doctors need more training. But at the end of the special, one of the doctors, who I want to say it was a neurosurgeon, or she's some type of brain doctor, she was talking about how the reduction of estrogen plays a strong role in women having like early onset Alzheimer's or experiencing symptoms of dementia, and that women experience those symptoms more than men. Like, women tend to have these neuroinflammatory diseases more than men, and she believes it is because of menopause, because menopause messes up like the receptors in your brain, and it kind of pushes you into having one of those conditions, especially if you already have some type of family history with it. So she was explaining that, which I'm like, okay, well, good, because this is not something that we've gotten to in the book yet, so I'm going to learn something new. But what was interesting to me about that was that not her remedy for it, but what she was saying could ultimately help with like the brain fog and like any cognitive issues that you might be having, was exercise. And now, while I personally, and I'm not a doctor, but while I'll give exercise credit for a lot of things, and I know exercise helps your body in a lot of ways, and I'm not saying that exercise does not help cognitive function. I'm not saying that it doesn't help that. I'm also saying that you can't just exercise people to death with everything. And I feel like so far in this conversation around perimenopause and experiencing all these different symptoms, that a lot of what I'm reading and learning does come back to physical movement, having an active lifestyle. They feel very strongly that an active lifestyle along with hormone replacement therapy is like the secret to surviving however long you would experience menopause symptoms. They say those two things are really the only things you need in order to not have it so bad, right? Which I think is great if you have a doctor who is willing to go ahead and prescribe you with the medications that you need right out the gate. Like, if you could go to the doctor that first time and be given everything that you needed on the first visit, then that would be great. But on that special, on Oprah's special, they said that it takes about 6 or 7 doctor's appointments before a doctor is even willing to give you any type of hormone replacement therapy, or even talk to you about the fact that, well, maybe it could be menopause. And that when that statement was made, that was another time where I wish I had taken a screenshot of Halle Berry's face, because she was like, y'all got us messed up. Like, that's insulting and it is disgusting, and I can't believe this is how the medical profession works. But yeah, that the woman was saying, if you work out and you're able to get these hormone replacement drugs, you have a strong chance of not being as miserable as you probably could be. Of course, there's still no guarantees, but if you use them preventatively, you could save yourself a lot of headache, right? What she was also saying was, because we already know that the reduction of estrogen causes so many other issues in your body, it definitely can harm your cardiovascular system. It does happen to have an effect on how much visceral fat your body starts to develop, muscle loss, and so many other things, blood sugar, like insulin regulation. Because we know that can happen, she was saying the earlier you're able to get on some of these hormone replacement drugs, the better off you are going to be, because in the long run, it could potentially help you not develop some of these other lifelong, and in some cases, life-ending conditions. So I wanted to talk today about the 3 stages of menopause, because I feel like right now I feel like perimenopause is just like a popular thing that people are talking about and it's trending online, right? But there are actually 3 stages to this whole thing. There's premenopause, perimenopause, and postmenopause. And I want to start with this. Now we're on page 48 of the book, and it says, a woman's menopausal journey is made up of 3 discrete medical stages: perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. By definition, these are different stages, but in terms of experience, they can feel very much the same. The reason symptoms can be similar throughout the stages of menopause is that they are all caused by deprivation of sex hormones, estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, that results from the decline and eventual end of ovarian function. It's usually the severity of symptoms, not the actual symptoms, that will vary as you move through the menopausal transition to menopause and then into postmenopause. So meaning everybody won't have like a huge variety of symptoms. Whatever symptoms you have, they say like those are going to be your symptoms, and the only thing that will change about them is how severe they are. Sometimes they might not be so bad. Sometimes they might be awful. Sometimes you might not have hot flashes at all, but when you have a hot flash, you might literally be dripping in sweat or something in between, right? When MediHealth, a telehealth company focused on providing menopausal care, polled their 22,000 members, the top 5 symptoms were weight gain, body composition change, brain fog, memory issues, anxiety, depression, sleep disruption, and hot flashes. So those tend to be the most reported of symptoms when people initially start reaching out to their provider for care. So we're going to start with perimenopause, which I think is what we hear most about online these days. So perimenopause is the beginning of the end of ovarian function. We often don't realize we are perimenopausal in the moment, but once through it, we can retrospectively pinpoint its beginning. Which again, I think is why doctors dismiss everything that you go to them and say, because in their minds, you don't even know if your symptoms are because of perimenopause, right? Perimenopause can be a challenging hormonal stage to diagnose. This is because 1, it has a wide range of symptoms and severity. The age at which it presents itself in patients varies. And 3, there is no established method or evidence-based test for doctors to use to diagnose it. Women wait at least 3 years for their symptoms to be correctly diagnosed as menopause-related, and a further 18% visited their doctor 6 times before they got the help they needed. Which is very interesting to me because I was in the grocery store last week, because I'm in the grocery store all the time now, and I happened to just be walking through like the health beauty section, and I glanced over at the aisle that has like pregnancy tests, ovulation tests, all that. And there was a menopause test kit by Clear Blue. It was literally right next to the ovulation kit. And that test claims that it can tell you what stage of menopause you're in. And they give you 5 different sticks in this kit. And I guess that's because maybe people out there will test themselves every so often to see if their stage has changed. I don't know. I did not buy one, and I have not even looked this test up online. My initial thoughts about that are, number one, because I had already read this book, I'm like, well, there is no test that can tell you that. Number one, because there's no test, right? Number two, really the only thing you can do is go to the doctor and have some type of hormone panel, like blood test ran on you, where they can tell you the levels of your hormones, right? But even then, we have already learned that even that they will stop short of saying like, yes, you are, no, you're not in perimenopause or whatever. And then the other kind of question that I had about this test is, who was the focus group for this? How did you test this? What were their ages? What were their lifestyles like? Had these women ever had any type of surgery that would thrust them into menopause? Have these women had children already? It's like so many things go into when you become perimenopausal that how can you even test for this, I guess, is what I want to know. Because we would want to know, or I would want to know, what was the baseline for whoever you tested before this product came to the market? What was their baseline? And then once we know their baseline, then after they test, are you looking to see their hormone levels drop significantly or just a little bit? Like, how are you even testing this? Because there's no way for you to do it. And so I feel like products like that are just money grabs. Like, it's literally just a money grab because your hormones are going to fluctuate all throughout your cycle anyway. There's really no true way for you to know that just because your estrogen may have dipped a little bit, that you are in fact perimenopausal, right? Yeah, there's no way for you to know that. So to Clear Blue, I feel like you guys should stick to what you're good at, and that is telling people whether or not they're pregnant. Because see, someone that I know had a very good point that people will start to use this test not to test for whether or not they're menopausal, but they will start to use that test for infertility issues, right? Because if you take that test and it tells you you're menopausal or you're perimenopausal or that you have any type of lack of estrogen, people will start to use those test results and say, hey, I haven't been able to get pregnant for X amount of months. And this might be why every time I take one of these tests is saying that I'm deficient in this, or I have a lack of this, this, and this, which is probably a better way for them to market that product. But that's not what we're here to talk about. So I don't want to cause no drama where no drama has existed up until this point. Okay. So now we're in menopause, right? Though menopause has been the source of so much mystery, the event itself is the most clear and specific of the 3 stages. Menopause initiates accelerated cellular aging and is associated with declines in general health, right? By definition, you reach menopause when it's been 12 months since your last period. This date will mark the end of your menstrual cycle and reproductive capabilities. Menopause is defined by a date on the calendar rather than a specific sign or symptom. So basically, 12 months after your last period, if you start bleeding anytime between, I guess, what you thought was your last period, if you end up having another period, then the clock starts all the way over again. And then lastly, we have postmenopause, which is the time period after you have successfully completed those 12 months. By definition, you are postmenopausal once you've hit the menopausal moment. That is, when it's been more than 12 months since your last period. So what we take from that is different specifics about like women and their cycles. So women who have never birthed children are more likely to go into premature or early menopause compared with those who have. So 2, which is why those tests that they're selling just really don't make any sense. So too are those who had their first menstrual period at age 11 or younger. When these factors are combined, that is, someone has not birthed a child or children and they experience their periods at a young age, there is a 5-fold increased risk of premature menopause and a 2-fold increased risk of early menopause compared with women who started their periods at age 12 or older and had 2 or more children. Interestingly, the number of births may also influence how severe your menopausal symptoms are, with research showing that women with 3 or more births were more likely to have more extreme symptoms than those who had birthed 1 or 2 children. Well, isn't that just lovely? So then they point out race and ethnicity, and they say when researchers analyzed data comparing the experience of menopause specifically between Black and white women, they found that elements of structural racism, defined by differences in access to health services and quality of care, contributed to disparities between the two groups in incidence of health conditions that predispose to earlier menopause and likely influenced the fact that Black women entered menopause 8.5 months earlier than white women. Black women also experienced more hot flashes, depression, but were less likely to be offered treatment options. This is more than a matter of making sure everyone has the opportunity to improve their quality of life in menopause. It's about potentially leveling the lifespan playing field. True, like everyone deserves to live just as long as everyone else. It's well established that greater incidence of hot flashes is linked to increased risk of dementia, stroke, and heart disease, which means Black women are set up to be disproportionately affected by these diseases. Thankfully, information and access are increasing with the focus on long-awaited and critically important inclusivity. Meaning that when we go to the doctor and we complain about hot flashes and all these different issues, we get told that this is just a part of life and, girl, just hang in there. When really we should be stronger advocates for our health care and point out to medical professionals that, hey, I'm not complaining about this because I don't want to be sweaty. I'm complaining about this because I know that this is like the first of many issues potentially. Yes, I'm having a hot flash today, but this hot flash could turn into a cardiovascular problem tomorrow, and I don't want that for myself. So preventative measures can be taken. You can go ahead and give me some type of estrogen cream, some type of hormone replacement therapy, drug, anything that would help reduce the occurrence of these symptoms for me, number one, so that I can live somewhat of a balanced, easy, normal life. But you can also give me that medication because it's going to help me prevent long-term health issues for myself. Okay, so then they talk about weight and body mass as it relates to when someone could possibly start to experience symptoms. And it basically says that research has shown that your body weight can influence the age at which a woman experiences natural menopause. They said that if you're underweight, you might experience menopause earlier than you normally would. And if you are overweight, you might experience menopause symptoms later than what would have naturally happened for you, right? And they point out that, one would think, if I'm a little bit heavier than what I should be, and that's going to prolong menopause for me, that's a benefit of me carrying this extra weight. When really they say, nope, not too much on coming to that conclusion, because they say too much excess weight, especially in and around the abdomen, may potentially counteract the benefits of delayed menopause and the associated hormone changes by driving up heart disease risk factors like lipid abnormalities, like high cholesterol, blood sugar disturbances, and inflammation. So basically they say, try to be a healthy weight, neither underweight or overweight. And most likely that will benefit you the most in regards to experiencing menopause and whatever else might come along with it. So another theme that I'm noticing is that it's not just menopause. And I want to make it a point to kind of say that like clearly on here. We shouldn't be worried just about the symptoms of perimenopause or how long we'll be in menopause. That shouldn't be the issue. The issue to me, as I'm reading through all of this stuff, is like, oh, I should be concerned about what's going to come along with me going through menopause. Like, I need to be taking care of myself in a way that reduces the possibility of me getting one of these other like chronic conditions. And I think that is what they are trying to say to people without blatantly saying it, because they do, on the very next page, they do go into a small paragraph about physical activity, diet, and alcohol consumption. And they talk a little bit about cigarette smoking. So right off the gate, we don't have to go through that because, you know, some of those things we should be doing, some of those things we already know are frowned upon. But it says researchers found that women who began taking oral contraceptives between the ages of 25 and 30 had a significantly lower risk of earlier menopause than women who were 31 years or older when they started. Which, I mean, as I sit here as a 41-year-old woman who has not been on an oral contraceptive in, I can't even remember when, I'm wondering, I'm like, dang, is that something that people should just stay on? Like, even if you get your tubes tied, should we have been encouraged to stay on an oral contraceptive just for this alone? Or like once you turn, what age did they say? 30, around 30, maybe. No, between the ages of 25 and 30. Yeah, so I guess when you're a young woman, most young women are probably on birth control. I know I was when I was that age. But I wonder if that is something that even once you start to have kids and like once you know you're done having kids, if a doctor should say to you, hey, I know you want to get your tubes tied or whatever, and that's cool, girl, we can do that for you. But maybe you should stay on an oral contraceptive until the age of blah, 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 because it has been shown to reduce perimenopausal symptoms. Or like the onset of menopause. Like it could help you out if you just go ahead and keep taking birth control for a few years. I mean, I don't know if that is something that a doctor would recommend. I would have to ask a doctor how safe it is for someone who has had their tubes tied to continue taking an oral contraceptive. I feel like the only way around this particular tip would for you to just not have ovaries to begin with, right? Like if you've had some type of hysterectomy or if you've had your ovaries removed for any reason. Speaking of which, my lab report came back, because I know the last time I told y'all we were waiting for my blood work to come back. My blood work came back and it was all negative. So I'm in the clear, like I'm as healthy as I have always been. And I go back for another ultrasound just to see if my cyst and my fibroid, like if they've grown any. And once we get the measurements from that, then I'll know what my doctor thinks is best for me in terms or in regards to me having that ovary with the cyst and the fibroid removed. But yeah. Okay. So going through what happens when your body is actually going through menopause. Like we've said, because this is what the book is leading us through. Like we said, it is a reduction in estrogen production, right? Why do we get the symptoms? Well, you get the symptoms because your body is not making as much estrogen as it used to, or any at all, whatever. But your brain keeps sending a signal to your ovaries for it. But because your brain is not getting anything back from that signal, it's like your body literally starts to go out of whack. And the woman that was on the Hulu special explained that a lot better than I did, but that is just like the quick way to say it. How the ovaries stop working. As you age chronologically, you also age reproductively. As you menstruate and ovulate over this time. You progressively lose follicles, and with each new year, your eggs lose quality. Your ovaries' functional capabilities begin to wane too, resulting in less reliable hormone production and decreased responsiveness to hormone signals. This decline in function will continue causing disruptions in your cycle and creating symptoms of hormone withdrawal, which can signal the entry into the menopausal transition, aka perimenopause, and lead to irregular periods, hot flashes, increased anxiety, heart palpitations, and more. The decline in ovarian function will continue. Menstrual cycle disruptions may increase and lengthen. Your symptoms may intensify and so on until you reach ovarian failure. When you reach ovarian failure, the routine monthly ovulations and the resulting production of sex hormones will stop for good. And with the cessation of ovarian function, you will have reached menopause. And as that hormone level drops and drops and drops over that time, the symptoms that you experience will more than likely become more and more severe based on what I have read. Now, there was something else I wanted to touch on, some of the health risks of menopause, right? Because women often talk about losing muscle mass or feeling like they're gaining weight and their body's changing and you having like a completely different body type. I wanted to touch on that because they do talk about that in this chapter of the book. So it's very likely that, let's say you've always had an athletic frame your whole life, but now maybe you have more of an apple shape. Like, you are not crazy for thinking that. It is a very strong possibility that that is actually happening to you, that your body is going to look completely different based on what's happening inside you chemically. So they talk about the loss of muscle and they talk about the gain of visceral fat. And of course, the only thing they say that you can do to combat either one of those things is strength training, working out, eating well, and then of course using some type of hormone replacement therapy to help you keep your estrogen levels high. Now, the muscle loss is of concern because, you don't want to slip and fall and not be able to like pick yourself back up or anything like that. But to me, the more concerning of the two is the visceral fat gain, because visceral fat is the fat that you have around your organs. So right here it says, I lost my page. It says, most women who are approaching menopause or have passed it undergo body composition changes. These changes are driven by the preferential weight gain of visceral fat in the deep abdomen region and may become noticeable when your favorite clothing items begin to feel tight or uncomfortable, or your body starts to seem unfamiliar. Suddenly, your pear shape has turned into an apple. This shape shift may happen even if your weight hasn't gone up significantly. So I say that again to say you can stop gaslighting yourself if you're looking in the mirror thinking like, oh, I just don't look the same. Even though I haven't gained any weight, like I don't look the same, or this doesn't fit the way that it used to. It's quite possible that you just have a completely different body type or body shape, but you are still the same size, right? So more on this. There are basically two types of abdominal fat. There's the subcutaneous fat, which is the type of belly fat that exists more on the surface that you can pinch. This fat, regardless of how you feel about it, is relatively benign from a health perspective, as long as you don't have too much of it. Then there's visceral fat. Visceral fat is a type of belly fat that's found deep in your abdominal region, where it can wrap around your stomach, liver, and intestines and negatively influence how these and other nearby organs work. Visceral fat is considered a harmful and active fat because it releases inflammatory proteins that may ultimately lead to a chronic low-grade level of inflammation, which leads to the other long-term chronic diseases that can be triggered by menopause. So hopefully everybody is like where I am with like, oh my gosh, so this is just one hamster wheel of a decade-long situation where I feel like I'm going to be chasing my own tail, right? Which is why, as much as I hate to admit it, because I'm in a little bit of a rut myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to keep doing all this stuff. Like, I'm going to have to keep walking. I'm going to have to keep lifting weights. I'm going to have to keep going to Pilates. I'm going to have to keep stretching. I'm going to have to keep making the best attempt that I possibly can to live a stress-free life, to keep my cortisol levels down, because that too impacts all of this. So they go on to say, as our estrogen levels wane during the menopausal transition, a shift in the type of fat we gain takes place, and we are more likely to put on pounds made up of visceral fat, right? You can gain visceral fat over your lifetime as a result of excess calorie intake, routine sedentary behavior, and exposure to prolonged stress that increases production of cortisol, a stress hormone that can promote abdominal obesity. So if you feel as if you are extremely stressed out to the point where it's not under control or you feel like you can't manage it, it's very important that while we're still either in perimenopause or maybe you're in your 12-month wait, whatever, it's very important that we learn how to manage that stress. You get a therapist, you maybe take walks, you learn to slow your life down in a way that gives you some sort of peace and less stress, because they are telling us that the more stressed you are, that is not going to help anything as far as the severity of your symptoms and how bad they can ultimately get. Visceral fat doesn't reveal itself in numbers on the scale, which is why it can be tough to measure. But to be completely honest with you, I'm okay with not using a scale. So then she goes into the fact that, like, girl, you don't even have to weigh yourself. What she ends up saying is you can either take body measurements to kind of see where you are in terms of visceral fat. A lot of the scales these days do include visceral fat. I don't know how accurate we should think that they are, but a lot of scales these days do tell you what percentage of your fat is visceral fat. But I think the best thing you can do is to go to some type of wellness center or check with your gym and see if they have one of the machines that I used to talk about all the time, where you stand on it and it reads you for filth. Like, it tells you every single last thing you didn't want to know about yourself, right? I think those machines tend to be a little bit more accurate than the scales that you might have in your bathroom. Then they do talk about muscle loss, right? And how important keeping some type of muscle is to lots of different things. But they basically say that you start losing muscle at the age of 30 if you're not doing anything to combat that loss. So your body starts to get soft. You start to notice you might have a little bit of that extra cushion, like right above your elbow, right? Like, I think we call that like auntie elbow or whatever. You start to notice your biceps are a little bit jiggly, or you just flat out don't have muscle in some of the places that you used to. Some of the things we can do to combat that are what we talk about here all the time. Try to walk for 45 minutes every day if you can. If you can't walk for 45 minutes, or if that's just not something you can do, go on YouTube and try to do some type of at-home workout using some light dumbbells. Take a Pilates class, and all of this stuff you can do for free at home, right? This is not anything that I'm saying you need to go join a gym, you need to go here, go there. No. A lot of the stuff you can access it for free online, but you do have to be willing to exchange your time for the benefits that come along with some of this stuff. Muscle loss isn't something that they can just easily diagnose. And for the most part, they don't even diagnose it in people that are younger than 65. But after 30, it is estimated that we lose between 3 and 5% of our muscle mass each decade. And then that starts to accelerate up to 10% after menopause. So your risk for this clinical muscle loss goes up after menopause, and an additional risk factor is included for people who might have type 2 diabetes, if you smoke, if you live a sedentary lifestyle, and if you undereat. That is super important to me, the undereating, because you would be amazed at how many people don't eat enough. how many people eat 1 time a day? Like they eat 1 time a day. That's it. Or people who kind of graze throughout the day, but they really never sit down and have like a proper meal. It is so important that you give your body the nutrition that it needs to run and function. And I know that is something that I have repeated on this podcast a million times. And I think hopefully having the discussion about menopause really brings that point home for people, that you're not eating well just to be a certain size or just to lose weight. You're literally eating well because your life actually depends on it. Food is what helps your body run, right? And even if, I will have people say to me, well, I only eat 1 time a day and I'm fine. I feel fine. I have energy. And I think that's fine. If that's been working for you, I think that's fine. But I think maybe the concern shouldn't be in the things you can see and feel, and it should be in the things that you cannot see and things that might not even cause you any pain, right? Under eating will cause muscle loss because you probably don't have any protein in your body, right? If you don't have muscle mass, then there will be times where either you drop something or you might fall or something happens and you need to be able to use your body strength. And maybe as an older woman, you're just not going to have it. And you just don't want that to be you. Like you don't want to be the person who literally falls and you can't get up. And so now you're waiting for somebody to just find you. How terrifying would that be? How terrifying is that for people? So if you have not gotten a hold on your nutrition and how you eat, how much you're eating, definitely talk to a doctor or a nutritionist, like a registered dietitian, nutritionist. Talk to somebody with a PhD in that. If you are finding it hard to get food in, like if you're having a hard time just eating or changing the habit. And then after you talk to a doctor and they talk to you about that, then you can come talk to a person like me and I will help you develop those healthy habits on a day-to-day basis. But it's got to start somewhere. And a lot of times just identifying and recognizing that, hey, I do have an issue with this, like with either the physical activity part or the food part. Just acknowledging it is normally a great place to start in terms of developing those habits. And then of course they say, hormone therapy is a great way to kind of work yourself into having the higher estrogen levels to kind of combat some of the muscle loss and some of the visceral fat gain. So I think we'll stop there for today in this, and then I'll read another section of this book to see if it makes sense to even have a part 3 on this conversation. But I really feel like all of it is just kind of repetitive at this point. And really what we can take away from it is doctors are not trained in this. Therefore, when you go to the doctor complaining, it might take 6 to 7 appointments before someone actually listens to you and gives you the help that you need, or at least refer you to a specialist or something like that. The woman on the special, on the Oprah special, even said this too. She was like, the best thing you can do is educate yourself. And again, if you went to school for it, why I gotta educate myself? You know what I'm saying? Why do I have to have all the answers before I even come see you? You the doctor. But that's neither here nor there, because it's always good to be an advocate for your own health. And do as much research as you possibly can. Read this book if you can, The New Menopause. She gives a toolkit at the end of the book, and maybe for part 3, we'll go through the toolkit just to make sure we didn't miss anything. But she gives a toolkit that gives us all of the ways to combat some of this stuff so that we, remain super healthy through that transition. And, the more that I think about it, I think maybe the best thing we can continue to do is just make sure this is not a topic that remains so taboo. Like the more we talk about it and we talk about our symptoms and we share different doctors that we've worked with, or we share different things that a doctor maybe has given us. Let's say you go to the doctor, your doctor actually listens to you and they prescribe you some things to help you out. Tell your girlfriends about it. That way, when they go to the doctor, they can say, you know what? We're going to make this a very quick appointment. This is what's happening to me. I have a friend, went to the doctor. She received this, this, and this. Are you going to give me that stuff? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, thank you for your time. I'm going to go find another doctor that's going to actually give me the things that I need to manage the symptoms that I have. Just like speaking up at the nail salon, it could be quite difficult to speak up in the doctor's office, but I think we have to become more comfortable with doing that, because 10 years is a long time to be frustrated and annoyed. I know that. And if anything, I'm trying to avoid that. Like, I just want to know that I'm not crazy when I say like, oh, this doesn't feel right, or oh, this is that, or why is this happening to me? I want to know that, okay, girl, like nothing's wrong with you. You're just perimenopausal. These are the things that you can do to kind of help alleviate the symptoms as much as you possibly can. But for the most part, you just need to make sure that you're still taking really, really great care of yourself, right? Okay, the workout report. I took the level 2 test at my Pilates studio a couple weeks ago. They held a workshop on a Sunday morning at, I think it was at 8 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. And I passed my test. So I now have access to level 2 classes. And some people are like, oh, what's a level 2 class? A level 2 class is basically all the stuff you see online when people share a Pilates workout. Like them standing on the reformer, kneeling on the reformer, doing planks, like doing all that stuff that looks super challenging. That is what a level 2 class is. Up until this point, I had only been taking level 1.5 classes. And if I'm going to be completely honest, the 1.5 classes that I had been taking up until today, actually, had kind of gotten to a place where they were a little repetitive, where they didn't really feel like too much of a challenge to me. Yeah, like they just had kind of started getting a little mundane. You know what I'm saying? But today's class was actually really good. And I could tell that today's class was kind of serving as like a bridge between 1.5 and level 2. So I don't know if someone spoke to them or maybe emailed them or whispered in their ear, or maybe just as a studio, they're like, okay, now that we're offering level 2 classes, we actually have to start teaching some of this stuff in 1.5 so that when they test for level 2, they can actually do it. Today's class was challenging, but like in that good way. That was a good workout. It felt really good. And I'm excited to take a level 2 class. I'm supposed to take my first one on this coming Monday. So I'll be sure to share my thoughts on that, maybe on Instagram, because that'll be like quicker, faster, and more like in real time. But so far, that's been great. Now, what has not been great is my ability to keep a schedule outside of Pilates, right? Some days I'm able to get all my steps in. Some days I'm able to get my dumbbell workouts in, but it's kind of been like a little hit and miss and not as consistent as I would like for it to be, because I know that that's what my body responds to. My body responds to a very strict like routine, and that's it. So I'm not a person who can probably work out 4 days a week. That probably would not work for me. If I were to do that, I would just be able to maintain where I'm at right now. But if I wanted to continue to see results, I would have to stay on like that 6-day-a-week schedule of like cardio, weights, and Pilates. And then, of course, matching that with eating super clean. Anytime any of that fluctuates and or drops off, I am in a like a bunny-eared plateau, when really it's not a plateau. I'm just not doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, right? I need to get back on my grind. And I've been trying to figure out why I've had a hard time doing that. And I think it's just because I'm always busy. I was telling somebody like a week or so ago that I feel like a lot of days I'm not even in control of the flow of my whole, like the flow of my day, let alone my life. I think there are things that happen like all around me, like either in my family or my house or whatever. that dictate to me how my day is going to go. So I'm like getting pushed through my day, propelled through the day, however you want to put it. And I'm trying to check all the things off that I have to do. And I'm not always necessarily prioritizing, oh, but you got to get your walk in or you got to do this. And then there are days where I'm like, I just don't even have time to do that unless I get up at like 4:30 in the morning or unless I do this at 8 o'clock at night, right? And because I'm not at a place where I'm going to sacrifice my sleep, when those days happen, I just let them happen. Because I also recognize in myself that I am a person that needs that good quality sleep. Because right now, I don't have sleep issues. My sleep is great. Like I go to sleep when I'm supposed to, and I wake up when I'm supposed to. I sleep all night, and it's fine. So I don't think I'm at a place where I'm willing to start sacrificing my sleep schedule or like changing my sleep schedule to get some of these other things done. But I do realize that like, oh, then you need to get back into a place where you're getting the things done, which means you're going to have to start removing some of this extra stuff out of your day-to-day schedule. And I'm working on that. And my goal for May is to get back into that, which will be, it should be easy because the kids get out of school at the end of May. So leading up to the last day of school, things do tend to just be a little bit easier, a little bit calmer, right? So keeping my fingers crossed that I can get back on it. But that's kind of where I've been in terms of my workout report. Let's talk about some random stuff before I have to go get in the school pickup line. You know, I was on Threads yesterday, and Francesca, whose name on social media is Cheska Lee. I don't know if people know her, but she's very famous for the Leopards Ate My Face song. She plays like the ukulele, and she makes up all these great songs that have a lot to do with like current events that are happening right now, right? Very funny. And you've probably seen her on TV before too, because she's been on like TV shows and stuff. But anyway, she posted a video of Tony Fine. Now, I don't know if anybody knows Tony Fine, but she is a very popular TikTok fitness personality. And I'm going to call her a fitness personality because I don't know Tony Fine's credentials to know what she is certified in or maybe what she's not even certified in. And this is why people have to be careful. Just because somebody looks great or is in shape or they lost weight or whatever, you shouldn't automatically assume that that person is an expert in giving out fitness and nutrition advice, right? And because it's kind of illegal for them to do that, but that's neither here nor there. But Francesca shared this video of Tony Fine talking about how Pilates is basically Black women's attempt at proximity to whiteness or white women. She goes on to say that like when you're in those classes, you're not even doing them right. So basically it's a waste of your time and a waste of your money. And to that, I say, this is why I blocked that woman a long time ago, because I was tired of this nonsense coming across my own FYP. Now, I haven't been on TikTok since I went on vacation in March. It's kind of like I went on vacation in March. I wasn't watching TikTok videos while I was on vacation. And then when I got back home from vacation, I just never went back to the app. Like I haven't found a reason to really like make my way back over there. So when I saw that Francesca had shared this video on Threads, I was like, ooh, I guess I missed this. Well, that, and even if I had been on TikTok, like I said, I blocked Tony. So I probably would not have seen it anyway. But that's not what we're talking about. For her to get up there and say something like that, I have a couple issues with that. Number one, if someone does find her to be, like an expert in the field, like they respect her or whatever, they'll hear what she's saying and they will let that keep them from trying something like Pilates. Now, Pilates is a very beautiful practice. It makes you stronger. It sculpts your body. It gives you a really great workout with very low to no impact to your actual body. And it's very tricky because you will feel like you're not working out at all, right? But then you'll get into a position and you'll be working and you'll be like, oh my gosh, like this, like I feel my body working, But when this class is over, I'm going to be able to get up and walk out of here. Like, I'm not going to be chronically sore or sore for days and days and days after this. That's what I personally love about Pilates. I love the fact that I don't have back pain anymore. I love the fact that after I work out, I can still come home and walk up the steps in my house. I love the fact that I know my body is getting toned in the way that I want it to be, and I'm not overtraining to look like it. Like, I go in there, it's 50 minutes, I'm in and out of there, and like, I'm good 3 times a week. Boom, boom, bam. Now, there is a conversation that could be had about accessibility to Pilates classes and how affordable they are, because Pilates classes are not everywhere, right? We literally just got the studio that I go to. We got that back in November, if I'm not mistaken, right? And the classes are expensive. They are not cheap. I don't know what like the drop-in rate is, because I signed up for a membership before the studio opened because I wanted to take advantage of the special that they were offering then. But it was only a 3-month special. So right now I'm paying like the real price for my Pilates classes, and it's definitely, I want to say $200, maybe a little over $200. Probably. Let's say it's $200 because that's what I'm comfortable with. It might be somewhere between $200 and $220. Now, for that amount of money, I can take as many Pilates classes as I want. I have an unlimited membership. And so I go at least 2 to 3 times a week because of that, right? Because that's what works for me and my training schedule. So I do admit that we could talk more about everybody being able to take classes due to either your location or the fact that the classes cost too much. What I am not willing to accept as a conversation, though, is that people who do Pilates, basically you just want to be a white woman, because out of all of the things that I have ever aspired to be in life, a white woman is not one of them, right? I'm very happy to be a black woman. And if I could live a million different times, a million different lives, I would want to come back as a million different black women. I would, right? I think what people have got to stop doing is making anything that seems nice or like a luxury or like a privilege, because let's face it, it is a privilege to be able to take those classes, right? Anything that seems decadent or exclusive, like those things are not only for white people or white women. You can take Pilates classes. Now, I do also understand that if you go to Pilates, it's a great chance that you might be the only black woman in there. And I respect that as an issue, because I remember what that was like when we lived in Texas. I used to take Pure Barre classes, and I used to be the only black girl in there. Do you think I let that stop me from going to Pure Barre classes? No. I would go in there, I would do my workout, and I would go home. Did anybody ever chat with me before or after class? No. When everybody was like giggling and like talking to each other, did they ever talk to me? No. Absolutely not. Do you think I allowed that to stop me from going over there and getting that good workout? No. Because what I also know is that white women do not own or have a monopoly over the snatched body type that comes with doing some of these workouts. They don't own that. They don't own the rights to having a mobile and agile body that's aging gracefully as they age chronologically. They don't own that. That is something that we have the right to have too. But we're only going to get it if we're doing the workouts and going to the classes. Now, Pilates is also offered online by lots of different content creators on YouTube. Pilates Body Raven is a very good one. I know a lot of people like Flow with Joe. Is that her name? I haven't taken one of her classes, but I know she's super popular. You could go on YouTube right now and find probably thousands of Pilates workouts that won't cost you a thing, that are taught by Black women or women of color. And you'll get that sense of community that you're looking for. Even though it's virtually, you'll still like the fact that your class is being taught by a Black woman. I know that I enjoy that. I love the fact that the studio that I go to is owned by a Black woman. I love that the majority of the instructors are Black women. And I like it that when I go to my classes, granted, I do live in the Atlanta metro area, so I understand we're all on the same page. But I like it when I go to my classes and I'm not the only Black woman, right? I'm not. I'm not even in the minority when I go to classes. I'm very much so in the majority. And I understand that that's not the case for everyone, everywhere that, people are taking classes. But what I want to say about that is, let's say you live somewhere where you are the only in there. Girl, put on your cute little outfit, go in there, take the class, build a practice for yourself, like a Pilates practice. Build a practice for yourself. And then when class is over, go home and talk to your real girlfriends. The way that I would not let that stand in the way of me and my personal body goals. I just wouldn't. Of course, we always want to support a Black-owned business when we can. Of course, we always want to be around women from our own community when we can. But if you live in a place where that's just not going to be so for you, let's say you have some type of injury or you just can't do high impact workouts, or you just really want to try the class. Like you just want to see what all the hype is about. As long as that person behind the front desk acts like they got some good common sense, they give you the greeting of the day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hey, how are you? How can I help you? As long as the customer service is good, I would put on my grippy socks. I would go in there. I would take my class and I would be the presence in there that lets other people know, oh yeah, like we can do this too. Like this is not just for y'all. I can do this too. And I can do it well. And I'm going to treat my body well. And I'm going to heal it through the use of this reformer. I think we have to get away from, number one, letting these people on the internet say things for clickbait, and then we actually take them and be like, well, yeah, that's right, when it really makes no sense at all. So that's one thing we all have to kind of work on. And then the other thing that we have to work on when it comes to feeling accepted in spaces, because I talked about this, I don't know if I talked about this on this podcast or on my other number, but I talked about when we went on vacation, how, that whole thing always goes. Anytime you're in a place and you are the minority and you are Black, people want to know how you got there. Well, what do you do for a living? Where are y'all from? And it's like it's a mystery to them. So yeah, I'm not saying that you'll go to Pilates and somebody might be like, well, what do you do for a living? Like, how are you in this class? How are you in this class? Because I signed up, Janet. Because I signed up, and you know what happens when you sign up? They save a reformer for you. And so now I'm in here. Right? We're both going to get this workout for 50 minutes. And when it's over, I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk out of here. Period. I have learned as I am getting older is that I don't have to make friends everywhere I go. Is it nice? Sure. But is it a requirement for me anymore? No. I will go places now that I just want to go to for me. If it feeds me in some way and makes me feel good in some way, it's useful for me, it's productive for me, I'm going to go to the places that I want to be. And I will let other people handle their discomfort with my presence, because I'm always going to be happy about me. I enjoy my own company. I'm a delight and I'm a party all by myself, right? If you want to go take a Pilates class, go do it. If you want to practice Pilates, but you don't want to pay for it, get on YouTube, find somebody you like, roll out a mat, and let's hit it. Truly, all of the conversations around this seem a little ridiculous to me. I've been seeing a lot on the internet about the movie Sinners. I have not been able to go see it yet. I would like to go see it this weekend. So if you know me in real life and you have already seen the movie, please don't spoil it for me, because there's nothing else more that I would like for myself this coming weekend than to see Michael B. Jordan as a set of twins and to see all the havoc that ensues in this movie, because y'all say it's really good. I want to sit down in the movie. I don't like movie theater snacks. I don't like them. I feel like the popcorn is kind of stale. I feel like the candy is overpriced. So I'm not a concession stand girl. Maybe I'll sip a soda if somebody gets one and I'm like, ooh, let me take a sip of that soda. But really, I'm more of a bring your own snacks kind of girl, right? Of course I am. Of course I want to bring my own snacks. So I want to pack my own little snacks and I want to go see that movie so I can see what all the hype is about because y'all say it's really good and I want to know that for myself. I just finished reading Nappily Ever After. And when I got finished reading the book, something told me, well, Tia, now, of course, you got to go on Netflix and watch the movie while the book is fresh on your brain. And I wish I had never done that. Because when I turned on that movie and realized that the movie was nothing at all like the book, first of all, her name is Venus in the book. Her name is Violet on the movie. Why did they even change her name? What was wrong with the name Venus? I don't know. I probably got a good 30 minutes into that movie and decided I can't do this anymore. Because where is Candy? Where's Wendy? Where's Sherry? Where's Ray? Where are all the co-workers that she worked with? I mean, they were in the movie, but not in the same way that they were in the book. Who is this salon owner man and this little girl that he has? Why did they turn Violet into like a motherly figure for this little girl and this man? That was not Venus. Venus didn't have no kids. Venus had a dog. And in the movie, she has a dog. It's not the same kind of dog, but I guess beggars can't be choosers. We can't be too picky. But really, in the book, Venus had a Cocker Spaniel. In this movie, she had some type of little Chihuahua dog. And I shouldn't be picky about that, but that really did bother me. What else was different? Oh, in the book, yeah, she talks to her mom on the phone and she goes and visits her mom for Christmas. But her mama wasn't all up and through the apartment and all of that in the book. It would have actually made for a way better movie had they stuck to the book. Like, send us on that roller coaster of that love triangle with Clint, Candy, and Venus. Introduce these other side love interests like Tyson and the guy from the airport, which I didn't watch the movie all the way to the end, but I'm sure he wasn't in the movie. Because at the end of the book, Venus meets Eric at the airport and they end up getting together. And I think he proposes at the end of the book to her. Like, she's engaged to him by the time the book ends. Spoiler alert. I hope that's okay. I'm new to the book world. So I'm like, that would have made for a much better movie. Because don't we love that? We love a love triangle movie where we get to go through the twists and turns of are they or aren't they? Who is she with now? Who is she going to pick? Who is the bride at the end of this thing? And for the movie to not be anything like the wild ride of the book, really, I wonder, why did y'all even name it Nappily Ever After? You could have done that same movie with Sanaa Lathan and called it something else. Another thing that was a big difference for me, if I'm not mistaken, Venus got her hair cut in the salon because she was going back and forth with the stylist about how low to cut her hair. In the movie, Sanaa Lathan cuts her own hair and I guess it's supposed to be like a therapeutic thing, but she's like crying and she's laughing, but she's cutting her hair. And I'm just like, no, I liked it because that was more real to me. You sit down in the stylist seat with all that hair and you tell them you want it cut down low, like a preschooler. Give me a Caesar, give me a low top fade or whatever the people call it. Give me that. Your hairstylist is going to be like, girl, no, I'm not cutting off all that hair. Or why you want to cut your hair? Are you sure you just don't want to do a bob? Like, they're going to try to talk you out of it because they feel like they'll cut all your hair off and then you'll instantly regret it and you'll want to blame them. We all know this. Why didn't the movie give us that? Like, I was so mad. And I was like, see, this is what the book people be talking about when they say the movies are never as good as the books. And in this case, they were absolutely right. I'm also reading Matriarch by Tina Knowles, which is Solange and Beyonce's mama. So far, the book is incredible. I am on chapter 8 of the book. She reads it on Audible and her voice is so soothing. Like, the pace at which she's reading is great. It is up to this point, it's been a very, like, good story. She is from Galveston, Texas. That's where she grows up. They kind of go back and forth between Texas and Louisiana due to some different family things. And right now she's at a place in the book where she's about 15 or 16 years old. And she's like having her first boyfriend and all of those kind of things. To say that Miss Tina has lived a whole life already and she's only 15 where I'm at right now in the book would be an understatement. That lady has seen a lot of life. A lot. And I mean, she's seen like the historical, not so pretty parts of life. She's seen some very good like family moments. Her upbringing is very strong. Like, you can tell that the way she was raised is how she raised her own kids. It's a good story about a woman who grew up during a time where, like, literally nothing was given to you, nothing was expected of you, and you try to do the best you could with what you got. And what we know now is that she ultimately becomes like Tina Knowles, but her beginnings are so humble and so relatable that I can't wait to hear about when she eventually leaves Galveston. And I think that's probably coming up in either the chapter that I'm in right now or maybe the next one. Because she says in this chapter, at the beginning of this chapter, she says, like, I knew I had outgrown Galveston when blah, blah, blah. And then she goes into this little story about getting her first little boyfriend. But love the book so far. I'm also currently reading a book called My Type. I shared a picture of it on Instagram the other day. I don't know the author of it, but it had me from hello. Like, from chapter 1, that girl thought she was about to get proposed to. She sat down at that dinner table in that nice restaurant, and that man was like, actually, no, I think we need to break up. Really, truly. And their breakup really had me at the beginning, like from page 1. And so far, it's been a really fun read. Her and her best friend are like navigating this girl's life after this breakup. I think she dated that man for 4 years, or am I getting that confused with Napoli Ever After? I don't know. I could be. But I do know she dated that man for a long time. She thought she was about to get engaged. Really, he broke up with her. And her bestie is like, man, you was too good for him anyway. Blah, 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 blah. Here we go. And so I'm excited to see what happens next in that book. My garden is doing very well. At one point, I thought that the green onions that I planted weren't ever going to grow or do anything. I thought they were going to be a dud. But today, when I checked it, there was one green little sprout poking up through the dirt. And so right now, we are growing things out there. I have tomatoes. My peppers are blooming. Like, I have flowers on my pepper plants, which means that I'm about to have peppers. I have lots of lettuce. I have romaine lettuce in one container, and I have like a gourmet mix of greens in another container. Both of those seem to be doing well, although in the beginning, the romaine was struggling a little bit, but it seems to be doing a lot better. I also planted different herbs. I have chives growing in 2 different pots. My lavender is doing really well. And then I also have basil, oregano, thyme, and something else in a little pot. But all that stuff is like sprouting and growing. And I'm very excited about it. My peach tree that I planted last year has lots of peaches on it. And by lots, I mean enough for me to be satisfied with the fact that I've been able to keep a tree alive. So I'm excited about that. Although my peach tree does have quite a lean to it, so I need to figure out how to reinforce it to get it to stand straight up without messing up any of the fruit that's on it. And then I'm also wondering how big these peaches are going to get, because this tree is not that big and it is in a container. So I'm like, how much longer should these peaches stay on this tree? Because really, how big are they going to get? Because this is a this is a container tree, and I don't want the peaches to get so heavy that they kind of just fall off and then some animal get them, and then I never get the little handful of peaches that's growing out there. So I'll have to keep giving you guys my garden updates because that's been really fun. And I enjoy watering the garden. That's one of the things that I do during the day that does slow down the pace of my day, and it gives me a chance to just take a breath. And so I think I enjoy that more than whatever is going to come from the garden. But so far, the garden is actually growing things, and that makes me happy. Now, this year will be my 20th wedding anniversary. And I kind of hesitated to talk about this on the podcast, but because, I guess in some form of church announcements, I'm getting rid of the other podcasts and the stuff that I used to talk about over there. I'm going to just bring it over here because I think it confused people. I think people didn't get it. I don't know. Or maybe it was too soon for me to roll something like that out. I don't know. I just know that when I rolled out that other podcast, the overall downloads for this podcast took a big hit. And so I'm like, did people get confused? Or is it the topic selection? I don't know what it is, but I'm like, say less. I can get rid of that other podcast and bring the stuff that I used to talk to over there, over here. Kind of, sort of, maybe, we'll see. But just to test the waters a little bit, one of the things that I was talking about over there was the fact that it is our 20th wedding anniversary this year. And we had been trying to think of what we were going to do to celebrate it because, it is a big deal. But because I'm not which I am a lover girl, but I'm not oh my God, yeah, I'm not that. I'm very much so seated and comfortable and content. And it's we need to do something, but we don't have to do too much. Not too much, just enough. And I feel like we are pretty good at figuring out what just enough is for the two of us. So what we did for our 20th anniversary, which our actual anniversary is not until December, so it's at the end of the year. But what we decided to do was to kind of do things to celebrate it all year long instead of trying to make a big deal out of that one day in December, because we do have a holiday season wedding anniversary. We never want to travel during the holiday season. So it sometimes it is hard to make a big deal out of it because it was Christmas was just last week. And I just need a minute. I just need to take a breath. So we normally celebrate our anniversary, or if we're going to travel for our anniversary, we normally travel for it in February, right? So I say all that to say, we sat down one day and we were like, what do we want to do for our anniversary? Because, this one is one that we should actually put some extra thought into. And so we decided to do what we're calling a 20 for 20. So we have 20 different dates or things that we're going to do. He picked 10 things. I picked 10 things. We put the 10 things together on one list. And so far this year, we've just been going down the list doing the things. And that has been really fun, because it feels intentional and it does feel like a step up from what would have been a regular date night for us. Because normally, we go out to dinner, you go out to dinner, right? These things have, we still go out to dinner, we still go eat, but then we also have been doing these different activities that have been really fun to do with each other. And it has been special to sprinkle that wedding anniversary vibe into each month as we go throughout the year. So far, what have we done? Well, we did take our trip to St. Lucia, and that was great. We did do the pasta making class, because even though that was something that was on my personal agenda for 2025, I think one of the things that we had on our list together was a cooking class. And so we which we might still do a formal cooking class, but I was nice enough to be this can kind of count as the cooking class, because why would you do this twice? So we've done that. What else have we done? Let me go through my phone, because I mark them off as we do them. Of course I do. Of course I'm marking them off as we go through it. Yep, we've done St. Lucia. We've done the pasta making class. We have purchased tickets for other things that are coming up over the summer, like concerts and things of that nature. And I'm excited to keep moving through this list to see if we're able to actually do all this stuff, which even if we only hit 15 out of the 20, I will consider that a success. I will consider it a success if we do half of this stuff, but we will see. What month is this? April. We're about to cross over into May. And over the summer, we do quite a few of these things. And some of the things do include our children. Because the mom in me is like, oh my God, am I going to really go do all these fabulous things and like not take my kids? No, I'm not. I'm going to take them to some of this stuff too. So some of them is like family things, because there would be no family if we had not gotten married. So I'm excited, and I'll keep you guys up to date with how this turns out, just in case you ever feel like you want to sprinkle a little bit of that anniversary love all throughout a year for yourself. But before I move on, what I do really love about that is that it does take the pressure off of a big to-do at the end. You know, like I like that. And it has been helping us develop the habit of getting out of our comfort zone and like doing some new and different stuff. This is good. This is good stuff all the way around. I have also been talking about potentially doing like a 75 rest or a 75 self-care, a 75 easy or something that focuses on rest, self-care, and just practicing living a softer, easier life and not necessarily getting rushed through the day. And I feel like the tone of that challenge would be slowness. Like for 75 days, we're going to slow our day down. We're going to have slow mornings. We're going to do the things that we actually want to do as far as like our hobbies or our interests are concerned. We're going to focus more on putting ourselves in a position to experience more of the individual joy that is only for us into 75 days, you know. I've been thinking about that, toying around with the idea of it. And if I decide to do it, of course, I'll come back and share and see if anybody wants to do it with me. But I feel like I could benefit from that because, like I said earlier in the episode, my days kind of dictate the speed at which I'm living life. And it's not the other way around. And I would like to dictate how fast or slow things are going, because right now that is not the case for me. And then lastly, the Met Gala is supposed to be at some point. I don't know when it's supposed to be, but I do know the theme of this year is dandyism. And I have been enjoying all of the looks so far that Vogue has published. I'm hoping that this will be the year that we do get to see some of the people who we don't normally see at the Met Gala. Like I'm hoping that some of the stars that I see on my TV are actually at the Met Gala. And sometimes they do pick the super popular people. Like, of course, Tiana Taylor is going to be there. Of course, Jodie Smith-Turner will be there. Of course, Coleman Domingo will be there. I don't know. It's basketball season, so I don't know if LeBron James will actually be there. But Pharrell will be there. So, certain people we know because of the theme, they're going to be there. But I guess I would like to see people that we don't necessarily see at the Met Gala. Like, honestly, I would love to see Morris Chestnut at the Met Gala. I would like to see him anywhere, but I would like to see him at the Met Gala. I would like to see like Idris Elba. I would like to see Taye Diggs. I would like to see Terrence Howard. Like basically the whole Best Man cast. I would like to see all of them because, that's the era of like man that I grew up with. And they were always dressed so nicely, so sharp. All of them look great in different looks. And I think it would be kind of nostalgic to see some of them there. I would love to see Samuel L. Jackson in a dandy look. I feel like it would look really good on him. I don't know. I would love to see it. I would love to see it. So hopefully, because this is a theme that's based on how Black people dress during the Harlem Renaissance and beyond, that, you would like to believe that we are going to see more Black people on the carpet. One could only hope, but I guess only time will tell. So we'll have to wait and see, but I'm excited. For once, I'm actually excited about the Met Gala. I can't say that I've ever been excited about it before, but yeah, I'm like, I can't wait to see these looks and who will be wearing them, because hopefully the guest list fits the theme, right? So I guess that's it. I'm about to go get in the school pickup line and get my baby. I promised these kids that they could eat out today for dinner. One of them wants Wingstop. The other two want Chipotle. And to that I say, why can't we all ever just want the same thing? Why? And maybe more than that, why can't I ever tell them I'm not going to places? I need to practice that. I'm not driving all over town. I'm not going to pick up. I could do that. I could. Probably not today though. But in the future, I need to work on using my voice for that. But maybe I won't. Maybe I also will choose not to, because I do love a good mommy flex. Like, oh yeah, y'all can pick whatever you want. Anyway, let me go pick him up. When you're out, compliment a woman, say something nice, make her day. Don't compete, don't compare, don't complain. What God has for you is for you, and never knock another woman's hustle. Thank you for checking out this episode of Tia's Table. I'll be back a lot sooner than you think, because I'm really trying to get on it. Like I said, I got rid of that other podcast. So now we're back all in with this one. So please continue to listen and share these episodes. And you can always hit me up in my DMs on Instagram at TiaVFitness if you have a topic that you would like to suggest, or if you would just like to chat with me about something that I said up here. I hope you have a great day, girl. Love you. Bye.